Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Stand in line for your fix. A triple shot of Marcus in the mix, serving you yet another round of fish and grits. Today's edition is going to be Fantasy Brunch. This is going to be the first episode. We are going to be covering all the whereabouts of week one, all the ups and downs. I know there's so many fantasy owners that was pissed off, me included, but we are going to be here for the healing process, and we're going to make this a smooth transition. Because like my man Wilson said, it's only week one.
That's
But
true. It was a hard week.
it was definitely a hard week, but we have been off the air for the last 2 weeks. As everyone has known, we have been impacted by Harvey, and also Florida has been impacted by Irma. So all our condolences go out to anybody that had any kind of issues. We've seen people lose everything. Like it really humbles you a lot when you see people go through these situations, especially when all three of us were fortunate to have no issues. And how many people can really say that they went through a hurricane and walked out unscathed? So definitely a shout out to everybody that's suffering right now. But we are here for the healing process, and we're gonna stay Houston strong as always.
Most definitely.
I agree because we can't rally behind that football team that looked like bullshit.
And we will get into them. We will get into those bastards. But we are going to be kicking it off with the news and notes. Well, mainly the injuries that happened. And I know one is going to be near to you guys' hearts, which
David
is I already
Johnson.
won. Le'Veon Bell will be the number one running back, so I'm enjoying my chips in case. So on that.
Oh no, he won't. He will not be.
Oh no, I'm still not sold on Le'Veon being number one. Don't get that twisted.
He's finishing higher than David Johnson, right or wrong?
Well,
I rest my case. I rest my case.
Now you keep talking like that, and your boy get popped against Minnesota this weekend, and he'll be sitting next to David Johnson.
Xavier Rowe comes from the back. That front seven is something serious.
No, it definitely is, man. But losing David Johnson for 2 to 3 months, that's going to be a huge loss for the Cardinals offense in general. Also,
that's a wrap for the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, it possibly could be.
They picking top five. They picking top five in the draft. That's a wrap for the Cardinals.
You can definitely see that. Also, we had Danny Woodhead go out with a hamstring injury. He's going to be missing 4 to 6 weeks, so he will be returning, which is a positive sign. Even though Buck Allen did look good, trying to fill in for him.
Nobody cares about Danny anymore.
Nobody cares about Buck Allen because he's been a bum for the past couple of years. In my opinion, that opens it up for Terrence West. In my opinion.
Definitely. Then we got Allen Robinson with the torn ACL. That was a huge loss happening on his very first catch of the season. It just seemed like a regular catch. Then next thing you know, he's out for the season on the contract year. So get well, Allen. I hope they paid him, man. I mean, he definitely does deserve it going through the bullshit with Blake Bortles. Then you got Steven.
If not, he will not be unemployed for long. Somebody will pick him up.
The Texans should make a run at him if they can. We need a big body receiver.
Exactly. You can get him on the cheap coming off.
Yeah, 6'3", 225. Pay him $12 million and he'll be all right. Steven Tuitt, man, this is a huge loss for the Steelers. Tore his biceps after signing a huge contract over the weekend. Ronald Darby, that ankle's done. I mean, maybe he'll come back in, they say 6 to 8 weeks, but those ankle injuries at cornerback, man, somebody run a lit drop route on you done. You out, boy. And speaks of another person that's out, Kevin White tore that shoulder in pieces. Not just broke the collarbone.
Yeah, he needs to go ahead and just call it quits. He can't. What did I tell people? Do not draft him because he will get hurt. He's guaranteed to get hurt.
Hey, it was a flyer pick. I mean, I took him like
Samuel L. Jackson and Unbreakable.
It's a broken collarbone.
Yes, it is.
You usually come back from a collarbone, and this dude is
Will
out for the
Fuller
season.
broke his collarbone, and he's going to miss 2 months. This dude is out for 4 months.
For the season. For the season, basically.
Crazy. My man Reuben Foster also did go down. They're saying he should be back in a couple weeks. High ankle sprain. Yeah, I hate to see that one. We seen Zach Strief get injured a little bit yesterday in the New Orleans game.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge because the line sort of struggled once he left out of there. So
sure did.
Hopefully he'll bounce back and get Drew Brees some protection. Our guy Eric Berry, one of the strongest dudes in the NFL. This was probably the injury that hurt me the most. Ruptured that Achilles, and he will be placed on injury reserve ending his season. Danny Amendola is still in concussion protocol. We're not sure if he's going to be playing this week. Dante Hightower, MCL sprain. Hopefully he'll return mid-season. A lot of concussions happen this weekend, man. It's almost too many to name. 5 with the Texans alone, compared to everybody else that's around the league. So, man, these new concussion helmets are not really helping everybody out. I feel like more people are suffering concussions.
And I think that people are really being almost cautious to a fault because anything that they see that's helmet on helmet or a helmet being impacted and they're pulling them for concussion protocol. Not
Like
all of these
this.
cases I want to say are concussions, but the NFL is trying to make sure that they keep lawsuits off their back and keep people happy that's griping about it. So they're going to go overboard and they're going to literally pull anybody and everybody that they see gets any kind of abnormal head hit or anything like that. So yeah, there's like a truckload of people in concussion
Because
protocol
I
right
thought
now.
Diggs was about to be in a concussion protocol when he got hit high.
He took a
When he
hit.
got hit up high, I was like, oh man, he out of here.
He bounced back. He
Yeah.
bounced back. Biggest loss of all the injuries. Biggest loss, guys.
David Johnson, you got to say it, man. That's the #1 draft pick for a lot of people. And, I was fortunate enough this year to only get, the #1 pick in one of my leagues. And losing David Johnson does put a kind of a damper on fantasy because there's nobody on the waiver wire who can, I guess, match his productivity at all. Curran Williams ain't good over
you
there.
cannot pick up a running back. They can go at 1,000 and 1,000 at any given moment. No.
Yeah, that's a huge loss.
Well, I mean, the thing about it, and to me, Eric Berry to me is a little bit more of a significant loss.
I want to say that too because he was
just because of the fact for two reasons. Number one, David Johnson is still going to be David Johnson because it's a wrist injury, which means that he can still work out and still stay in shape.
The legs are good.
Two, if they say that he's out for 12 weeks, then that means for fantasy owners, he's coming back for your playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as big of a loss for me per se, because as long as I can still get into the playoffs and still have a shot, if I know that I can get to the playoffs and he can come back to my roster, that's kind of like a boost. So I'm not going to look at it as bad as like per se if some of us, and being in IDP leagues and stuff like that, or even if you're in a regular standard league, the impact that Eric Berry has on that Kansas City Chiefs defense and how they play on that back seven is huge. It's really going to take them a while to adjust. They literally have nobody that can replace that man's production at safety. And it kind of changes the way that they're going to have to play football on the other side of the ball.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Man, we're going to jump right into the weekend overview of all the games that have. We're going to start with the Thursday night season opening with the Chiefs taking it to the Patriots 42-27. What stood out in this game to you guys?
Man, I'll go ahead and say it. Eric Berry getting hurt, just like Mark has been saying, because with honestly, I want to give a little love to Alex Smith, like I was trying to tell y'all earlier, a few episodes ago, that Alex Smith getting Patrick Mahomes behind him is really going to challenge Alex Smith to step his game up and kind of give it his A quality game. Because you see, Alex wasn't all checked down that game. He was throwing it downfield, and he's very cautious because he don't want to throw, have any turnovers. But Andy Reid opening the offense up for Alex Smith is only going to be a good thing for Kansas City and going forward. And if they can play if that offense can play like that season long, I like them making it into the playoffs. But the only thing is losing Eric Berry is going to be a huge loss for the defense. So we don't know how that's going to hold up.
No, the defense is going to definitely take a hit. And shout out to my man Kareem Hunt. I feel like I was the only guy that really believed in him to take him.
Everybody believed in him.
No, everybody did not believe in Kareem.
Wasn't nobody singing his praises the way he was. I'll give you the props on that. You've been campaigning for him since day one.
Because I always wanted to take this guy because the missed tackles. I mean, that's the one thing you can't create that in football. Either you have it or you don't. The ability to just make a dude flat out miss that's getting paid tens of millions, thousands of dollars. So if you can just do that, go out there in this offense. This is tailor made for a guy like Kareem Hunt. But Alex Smith did look damn good. Tyreek Hill looked damn good. That defense played well. They are going to be missing Eric Berry, but I think that
Alex Smith note. For those of us that can remember, the last time you saw him have a game like that, I believe was against the Saints in the playoffs. And who was his backup? And Kaepernick was breathing down his heel. So he performs well when he feels he's been challenged. So he's interested to see how he does coming down the rest of the season.
And Justin Houston is back too.
Yeah, he was like Brady ass up. Brady wasn't ready for that.
When I see him like just almost tackle somebody and then make the time, I'm like, oh my God, this dude is taking on 3 people at one time. Like this guy's really back. So he was definitely holding down the edge. I love seeing that.
The reason why I sing so much praise for Alex Smith because of this weekend of football. It was great football. A lot of quarterbacks did their thing, but Alex Smith to go to Foxborough and put up that show that he did against the defending Super Bowl champions. I mean, it was impressive because nobody saw that coming. at all.
No, definitely. They caught them by surprise. They actually went in there and played inspired football like half the teams did not play over the weekend. So that was
They
probably
went in
one.
there and they beat the Patriots ass. Period.
Yeah, they did. And
And
I don't think this was a step back for the Patriots. I just think it was a
nah,
bad day. I just think
you
every
need to
dog
read
has
off
a
a bye.
day.
That's
Yeah,
read off a bye because you know how they say what is he like? What is he like 11 and something off of a bye or
yeah. I think
something
he only
like that?
lost like one game off a bye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
he's
can.
he's strong off of a bye, but more importantly, New England came out and made the mistake of thinking this was fucking homecoming
Oh
and was
yeah,
hooting and hollering and doing all this celebrating because they was defending champs
that
and
was a
acting
weak
like they
ass.
didn't have a legit AFC contender sitting right there in their lap, ready to greet them week one. This
Yeah,
was
that
a
was
game that they could have
disrespectful.
opened up the season with, making a statement, letting you know, hey, we the defending champs, we not going nowhere. We holding this down. We the AFC's best, and they didn't. They showed up. They looked lackluster. They couldn't execute. Tom Brady looked like he forgot how to throw an accurate pass at points
Man,
during that
Yeah, he was
game,
overthrowing
and
boys.
they literally looked like they
wild
quit in
there.
the second half. I mean, I'll call it like I see it. They look like they quit in the second half. So it'll be interesting to see how they do bounce back because it's not going to get any easier. I believe they face another tough test here this weekend.
Against the Saints,
So
yeah.
we'll see how they bounce back.
And then I'm scared to see for on the running back side from a fantasy aspect, looking at the Patriots backfield. If you want to take a flyer on somebody, I guess you could say that James White, you can own him in PPR because he does seem like to be the one that's getting it out the backfield. Even though Rex Burkhead could have had a good fantasy night on 2 touchdown catches that he could have brought down, and then I guess Gillingston and Standard.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Pretty
And
much.
then I expect Gronk to bounce back at some time.
Oh,
Brandon
yeah,
Cooks
Eric Berry shut him
had
down.
two. Brandon Cooks had two pass interference called in the red zone, so at least he's getting red zone target. So it's still a lot of positives from New England that you can take away from this game. But I don't expect Gilsey to have 3 touchdowns every week. I do
Oh
expect
no,
him to at least finish the season about 15.
He'll get one.
Yeah, he'll get one. He'll get one.
I
But
can see him
three,
easily getting one a game. That's
some
just
of those
fine
are
by
going to
me.
be play action to Gronk or whoever. It's going to be a lot more play action called down there versus just
Oh
keep
yeah.
continuing to run it in. But moving on to the next game, the first place Jaguars destroyed the Texans over the weekend. 10 sacks, dude. 10 sacks. They had nothing for anybody
pay
on that
Dwayne
line.
Brown, pay that man.
It's not even just the win.
If
It
they paid
all
Dwayne Brown,
five,
then they would only had 8 sacks.
That's true.
That's
But
not the solution.
man, they
all the
need some.
starters, all the linemen gave up at least 3 pressures. All of them gave up minimum 3 pressures. On 56 dropbacks, it was 33 pressures out there.
Let me
That's
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, both of y'all. So I don't think the Texans' offensive line is that terrible as they played. I think it's more. Do you think it's more bad Texans offensive line or more? Jacksonville has a killer front seven.
Man, I want to say it's the front seven. The offensive line is not that great, but it's also been a lot of distractions. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but it's been a lot of distractions in the Houston area, especially when you miss a preseason game. That's still reps. I mean,
Hmm.
so you talk about you missing reps, you throwing a rookie quarterback in there who hasn't had any first team reps. His first passes to DeAndre Hopkins was over this past weekend. That's the most targets that they had to each other. So they haven't had any time to miss. So I kind of want to give them a pass, but they got their ass whooped at home. And Leonard Fournette ran the fuck all over them.
Oh yeah, he
The
did.
yards per carry may not look that amazing, but this guy handled 26 carries well, and he caught the ball well. 3 catches for 24 yards. So Leonard Fournette was everything they wanted him to be, and that offensive line was terrible. And Jacksonville gave up no sacks. Blake Bortles had no turnovers. Like, if you play that kind of football, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be pretty damn tough this year.
Exactly. They're gonna look nice if you hit. Blake Bortles has that protection and that time to throw, and you see they weren't leaning on Blake Bortles that much. I think that's the type of football the Jacksonville
I mean, because they
Jaguars
leaned
are
on
gonna
that
go going
defense.
for.
It wasn't just Calais Campbell. Miles Jack, 14 tackles.
Yeah, they was killing it.
AJ Bouye and Jalen Ramsey was the no-fly zone out there. Paul was doing his thing. Telvin doing his thing. Fowler finally did some shit. And I've been rooting for this dude all year. Like, the offseason issues kind of bothered me a little bit because I knew the talent. I'm sure Wilson know the talent from Florida. So it's always been that he just got to put it together. But when you have a collective group of defensive talent like this, god damn it, this is why I love football. That defense kicked their ass, and I loved every second of it because it was good fucking defense. That's why I love the Jaguars this week. And I want them to keep it up because they have the talent. We see they got the talent.
They do have a talent.
They can't pussyfoot around it
Well,
no more.
more importantly, they have the GM
Oh
True.
yeah, you're right about that.
because they look just like a Tom Coughlin coach Giants team. That's exactly what it looked like on the field yesterday. I mean, on Sunday. They look like a Giants game. Stingy defense, just enough on offense, predicated
Run the
by that
ball.
jackhammer running game, playing the ball, controlling the clock. It was a clinic. It was a textbook clinic.
39 carries compared to 21 passes. That's winning
Yeah, I
football right
mean,
there.
you go
If
through.
if you can get the 40 carries in a football game, you're doing something right.
Yeah, you play good, solid, hard-nosed football. It's always a definite luxury when you have a front seven that's that active.
Mhm.
Will they be that good getting pressure on the quarterback the entirety of the season? No, but they are active. They have very active defensive linemen. They have very active linebackers. And when you can keep those guys buzzing and in motion and keep that offensive line and opposing quarterbacks guessing, it makes that defense even better because you go through and you have two legit man on, put them out on an island corners in Bouye and Ramsey, which makes the job easier for their safeties
Mhm.
falling back. I mean, it gives you so much that you can play with and experiment with. And literally, it looks like the same MO that Tom Coughlin had when he was up in New York. He just brought it back down to Florida.
And I feel like all their defensive players like earned their keep, whether it was coming in as a free agent, whether it was the high draft pick, whether it was a steal in the draft. I feel like all those defensive players earned their keep in this one game. I just want them to continue
They
that.
got a chip on their shoulder because nobody's been talking about them. Nobody gives Jacksonville any respect on either side of the ball because they just assume,
Mhm.
oh, well, it's the Jaguars.
It's the
So they came in
Jaguars.
with a chip on their shoulder and they sent a message to the defending, what, three-time NFC South, AFC South champion
And shout out to
to
Cam
let them know
Robinson
it's
for
new.
holding his own. Cam Robinson didn't give up shit. He was punching everybody that tried to get in his way,
Hmm.
from Clowney to Big Rita to Watt. They could not do nothing against Cam Robinson. So he showed why he should have went in the first round, and that's a hell of a pickup for the Jaguars.
It's going to be interesting to see what these rookie running backs are going to do this year because, man, the amount of talent that I see out there is pretty intriguing from the rookie running backs.
Now that and is one that we didn't even get to see this weekend, Deontay Foreman. So
No,
hopefully get a couple more carries this week.
they said he's going to get more reps. Bill O'Brien came out and said that he's going to get
And,
him more
and he
Well,
involved
they're
in
should
going to
the
have
because
to do something to get people more
the,
involved. At this point, they're going to have to get people that can make plays in space because they're not going to have the benefit of consistent blocking. So you got to maximize all your talents wherever you can.
at all.
Let's give some love to Lamar Miller, man. Lamar Miller actually looked good when Watson ended up coming in. He looked terrible when
Well, I mean,
Well, I mean
whenever they give Lamar a
that's the
chance to
Tyrod
actually
Taylor
play, he
thing.
plays good. But they
exactly,
so
man.
skittish about the way that they try to use him from week to week. It just kind of stunts his growth.
And that's the Tyrod Taylor. You get a mobile quarterback, your running game is going to pop off. I mean, that's
Exactly.
just
Yeah, that's
automatically
by
what
default.
happens.
That's without question.
And Lamar, you
Because
know he was always good out the backfield when you them little dink and dunk passes that the Texans, for whatever reason, do not want to use Lamar Miller in.
definitely. So I just hope that against the Bengals they step it up a little bit more. I hope to see a little bit more out of Deshaun Watson in his offense. But like I say, we're gonna take it one day at a time. I hate to see him out there this early. I hope he don't get killed. I already got an ankle injury on top of that.
Well, since this is a fantasy show, let's give some love to Hopkins also. If you want to buy low on Hopkins, I would go and try to target
16 targets.
16 targets.
16 targets.
He got 7, and then Ramsey was on him, so he's not gonna catch a lot. But to go 755-1, I like those numbers, and I like that Deshaun Watson is looking for Watson.
That was the only weapon they had. I mean, all the tight ends.
Everybody was hurt.
Well, I mean, at that point, when two of your tight ends is concussed
Three.
and your running game
Three
is
of
already
them.
popping off, I mean, you kind of look for him all the time by default.
Yeah, he was getting triple covered. I'm like, hey man, that's all you got, bro. That's all you
Hopkins
got.
still look good. It's good to see Hopkins get a touchdown. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen DeAndre Hopkins look
Getting that in
like
zone.
DeAndre Hopkins. So
Yeah.
buy low on him if you want to. That's a good pickup
Yeah,
going forward.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
There we go.
Moving on to the first place Buffalo Bills, who took down the Jets 21-12. Any good takes from this game? My man T-Mobile, he was still out there running a little bit.
Well, no, even more importantly than that, the guy that we all batted back and forth with, but we were all pretty much unified in the fact that he's pretty underrated and was going to be pretty valuable in fantasy. Mr. Clay at tight end, showing
Yeah.
improving
And
once
he could have
again.
had 2 touchdowns. He could have 2. That the one that went through his
Yes,
hands.
but being very efficient, taking advantage of the fact that they really don't have that much in the way of options in the passing game. So Clay is like, hey, Tyrod, I'm your security blanket, baby. Look for me.
Right here.
I'm always open.
And then,
Holla
as
at your
usual,
boy.
LaShawn McCoy want to go down in the fourth quarter, even though he returned. I just hate when he do this shit. Why he
Man,
always got to go to the
He's so
sideline?
dramatic. And then Tolbert. Tolbert, boy. He's a vulture for them touchdowns. Tolbert's going to fuck around and get 10 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, because LaShawn McCoy
Tolbert
want to die every
is-
time to get into the red zone. Come on, man.
This
What's
choir
happening?
boy from the Five Heartbeats. He walked over to the coach. He was like, "Yo, man, I know all his parts, man.
I'm
I can sing all his
260,
parts.
man. I'm
I can
260.
sing
Put
all
me
his
in,
parts,
coach.
baby. I can get all the red zone touches, coach. Put me in."
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's the only thing I did get sad that I didn't see the rookie getting. I mean, Matthews getting used that much. I also didn't get to see Zay Jones really targeted as much. So I
The
think,
way, it's the way the game was going,
yeah,
Mark.
they
I
can
mean,
run the
'cause
ball.
McCoy and Clay, I think they had 15 targets, and he only passed the ball 28 times. So it wasn't a lot of passing going on. They ran the ball 42 times. We
Yeah,
just said anytime you get to 40 carries, you're doing something right. The
and
They're
Jets
never
T-Mobile
only
gonna
got
keep it
8.
basic and go ground and pound against the
Yeah,
Jets
and
anyway. I
T-Mobile
mean,
got eight of those rushes. I mean,
yeah,
8
he got
carries.
8 of the carries. So you
So
know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It wasn't a lot to pass around. Now, if they get into a game like against New England where they have to pass, I think you'll see Zay Jones, you'll see Jordan Matthews maybe get 6 or
I
7
think they'll be
targets
tested
apiece.
in that regard this weekend against Carolina.
yeah, it's gonna be a nice
They're
little
gonna have
shootout.
to pass
You
in
think
order to win.
so?
They're gonna have
You
to
know,
pass.
I don't want to go too jump the gun, but Cam didn't look
We'll
too
get to it.
great. But we'll talk to that later.
Definitely. Was it anything positive y'all seen out the Jets? Just looking at this game,
Yes, I did.
are y'all gonna
Uh,
join on the 0-16 bandwagon? Or y'all still ain't there yet?
No, looking
I'm on
at
the one at
for
15
you want to go.
bandwagon, but for IDP leagues, that safety looked great. And Darren Lee from the Ohio State University at
Flying everywhere,
linebacker was flipping
flying everywhere.
phenomenal.
Flying.
You know,
Jamal Adams wasn't too bad. I mean, he made a couple plays.
and,
He got me.
Coney Ely got in there a little bit.
and then on the offensive side, you got to give some love to Kurtz. You know, if you want to take a flyer, you struggling running back.
Oh,
I mean, wide receiver.
9
You say
targets.
you lost Allen Robinson. You can't do much worse. And then the fact that Bilal Powell out snapped Forte is a good sign. Even though he didn't have a good game, I think they are going to start relying on Powell.
He's
And
going to
then
be
when
a
they get
bell
down
cow
in
going
games, they're
forward.
going. Which say?
Yeah, he said he gonna be
he's
the
gonna
bell
be the
cow.
bell cow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad about that because in close games they usually use Forte, but in those games where they're always going to be down this year, I think Bilal Powell is really going to get. So that's another buy low candidate. I would run from Bilal Powell.
Yeah, they got more comfortable with him towards the end of last season, both in the passing game and in the rush game. So he's going to be a factor. And Curse coming over there and getting some immediate chemistry is a good sign for them as well. Not the most athletic guy, but he can go out there and he'll outwork and he'll out hustle folks. The fans in New York will like him because they'll remind him a lot of Wayne Corbett.
True, true. And down there in the Windy City, we had the Falcons take it to the Bears 23-17. What stood out in this game to you fellas?
Take it to the Bears. You mean the Bears took it to the
They took
Falcons?
it to the Falcons, man. Shit, that Bears look good.
Them boys
Man,
almost coughed up that game. If the Bears was on point them last
Three
couple of
tries.
plays, they took that game from Atlanta.
if they put Cohen in the game instead of bum ass Jordan Howard to make that catch, they
Whoa,
probably
whoa,
would have
See?
whoa.
won.
Jordan
And
Howard.
that's the
Hey,
kind of stuff that I'm talking about right here.
watch
The
your mouth.
disrespect. It's so
You gotta
disrespectful.
watch
Well,
your
he
mouth.
shouldn't have. He was right there. Like, come on, dude. Is that not one of the worst drops y'all seen?
That was
Like,
a terrible drop. That was a
I
terrible
mean, but
drop.
it happens. It's a
from
week
deep.
one drop. It's
I
a
think
week one drop.
I
Nah, I ain't
think,
trying to That's
I
no
seen-
excuse.
man,
That's
you
no
really down Howard, man. I mean, yeah, he had a few chances, but
he don't have hands. I mean, he didn't have hands last year, and it's showing again this year.
Wright should have scored a touchdown. He shouldn't have dropped the ball either.
No,
And
I'm
Zach
saying,
Kendall
Miller-
Wright is
was it Howard that was diving across the back of the end zone dropping a pass?
Nah, this one he caught it at the front. Didn't Howard catch it at the front and drop it?
But I'm saying, yeah, it wasn't Howard that was diving, dropping balls in the back of the end zone at the end of the game, was it?
Yeah, nope. And then Zach Miller sure should have caught a touchdown. So
That's what I'm saying. It's more than just Howard. I know you love to make him the
because he's the problem.
the albatross.
here we
which
go.
Everything
He's the problem.
is weighed and measured, but
He's
no,
the
it's more than
Steven
just him.
Jackson. He's the Steven Jackson of the NFL. He
Damn.
gonna get all the carries.
Oh, so he the
Oh.
Dominic Davis of the NFL. That's what you're saying? Don't put it on Steve.
Dominic Davis could catch the ball. This dude cannot catch
Dominic
the ball.
Davis was the king of garbage yards in the NFL his entire career.
And he still rack up about 15 fantasy points. This dude, you lucky if you get that touchdown. Like everybody was lucky to
I
see.
would still get you love in fantasy leagues. It's
Sell.
week one.
If you can sell on him, sell Jordan Howard, package his ass up, and
Oh,
get him
here
the hell
we
out
go.
of your team.
Yeah, don't listen to this hater.
Don't listen to this.
this hater. It's week
Tyree
one.
We've been
Tyree
drinking
Don't
Cohen,
listen to this hater.
Tyree Cohen had 12 targets in the passing game.
But it's true, but you still gonna get a bell cow.
Then he backdoored and outgained him in yardage on 7 less carries. So that screams a big issue right
Against an Atlanta defense whose front seven isn't on the
it's pretty good.
run or the pass. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I'll believe it when I see it against a better opponent.
I saw Jordan Howard cook the Vikings last year, who was stopping everybody for
Exactly.
like 150
Exactly.
plus. So I'm not doubting that man and his ability. I'm just gonna
Sam,
chalk it up.
It's
First
week
game,
one. It's a new
Glenn,
system. It's a new
Sam,
quarterback. It's
Glennon
week
wasn't doing
one.
the greatest. Glennon looked terrible, so that's gonna mess up the offense. But
Yeah,
Jordan
Glennon
Howard gonna
didn't
get
catch
it
a
done.
groove until late. I mean, he looked okay late, but
caught a groove with Cohen though. He didn't catch a groove with Jordan.
okay,
I'm just
but
saying.
that's catching a groove late, mostly out of desperation because the first three quarters you suck. I mean,
Exactly,
it's
it's
not going to be
trash.
that way the entire time. It's not going to be that way for all their games. That's what I'm saying. It's one thing to sit and see it in week one, and yeah, didn't have the greatest of games. That's fine. It's a lot of
I mean,
players
we
that
already
we
got the
expected a
blueprint.
lot from that didn't
We
have
already got
great
the
week
blueprint
one.
on. We've seen a lot of Jordan Howard. Y'all mean to tell him that he impressed y'all at any point in his career so far?
Yeah, he has that Vikings
Like
game.
that man just
That
described
Vikings
to you in
game,
that Vikings game when he honey
he
roasted that
killed
defense.
them.
Yes, that was very impressive.
He had large chunk yards. I think what they're gonna probably do is it's gonna be like a Tevin Coleman type of Freeman little vibe going on back there. They're gonna have the two back system going. They're both gonna get their
Both
production.
of those running backs can score touchdowns. I think it's only going to be one guy. I guarantee
No,
that
Jordan
Cohen will
Howard.
have more touchdowns than
No,
Jordan Howard this year.
okay, I'll take that
Put it on
bet.
the board.
I'll put that on the board. I think
Put
Jordan
it on the
Howard's
board.
gonna have
Mm-mm.
because I'm gonna tell
We
you
got
right
another
now.
one on deck.
Yeah, we're gonna put another one on deck because I
Total
think Cohen.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
Cohen.
you said total. No, I'm talking about
I
from
said
just.
total touchdowns.
Okay,
Total
well, I'll take
touchdowns.
it. I'll take it. Because I don't think they're gonna have Cohen in for like red zone. Jordan Howard's gonna get all those red zone.
Now he just got red zone and dropped that ball. That's gonna show up on film, my brother. They gonna
It's
see
all
that.
good. It's
They
all
they,
good.
they gonna put their best pass catchers in.
It's all good. And
What
what's
y'all
the
seen?
best?
What y'all seen
Who's
out
the
of
best
Atlanta?
back? I mean, there's nobody there. Kevin White got hurt
Tariq
as
Cohen is the best
typical.
pass catcher now. That's the problem.
Okay,
The running back is
well
the best pass
let's
catcher.
let's look at it like
Who
this.
got the
You're
targets?
gonna
Who
go
got
through. They're gonna be run centric. They're gonna go through, and the running backs are gonna get a lot of action. But to say that Tariq Cohen all of a sudden is just gonna take all of this production away from Howard, and
Hell
you
no.
not being impressed with
total
anything,
production because the
okay.
receiving
Here's the
aspect
one
of
thing that you gotta understand about Howard though, as far as it pertains to Chicago Bear football. Again, like Marcus said, say you didn't see anything impressive. I watched him play against Minnesota twice. You do realize that he had 130 plus on Minnesota both games.
Cooked
y'all
him.
keep bringing up the one Minnesota, the two Minnesota.
No, I'm bringing
What
up
else?
two Minnesota
I'm saying
games, and those are at
what
two
else
different
did he?
times of the year. One time was
What else
early,
did he
one
do
time was
around
late in the
that? Like
season.
it's nothing else impressive coming from outside of the division opponent. It's just nothing else impressive about this guy.
Okay, but
He's not that
he had
good.
1, 2, 3,
He's Jeremy
4,
Hill. It's only
5,
he's Jeremy Hill
6,
without the touchdown.
7. He had 700-yard games last year, and he only played division opponents 6 times, and
How
those
many
all wasn't against
touchdowns?
division
And
opponents.
he had what?
And
Had
what was
more
the team
rushing
record?
yard. What?
And what was the team record? Like it's
Oh, I know
nothing.
you're not applying fantasy stats to team record now. Come
Whoa,
on,
Nothing.
whoa!
don't
Here
do
we
It's,
go.
I'm saying
don't do that.
total. It's nothing that's impressive about this guy. He's a regular running back. He's not explosive. He's not that big. He's not that
There's
fast.
nothing that really impresses you off the eyeball test about David Johnson either until you look and see how many yards he has in the fourth quarter.
And you see them little
Now David
nice
Johnson got juice. He got like way more juice than what this nigga
You go
Jordan
pull
Howard.
up a highlight film of everything that David Johnson did last year, and I guarantee you there's nothing that will really jump out at you except for maybe 4 or 5
Week
plays.
week
He's just a
week
good
one.
old-fashioned
They had that nice
workhorse.
eagle.
He's a dual threat workhorse. I'm just saying, you don't need the flash in order to be effective in fantasy football. I just need you to put numbers up. And last year,
Jordan don't got
Jordan
the
Howard
flash.
put numbers up. That's it.
Tyreek gonna put the numbers up this year. Who gonna put the numbers up in
Tyreek got a
Atlanta?
great receiving
Cause
number.
I know damn well Austin Hooper ain't gonna keep putting them up.
Bro, he had great games. Like this dude went 117 and 3 touchdowns against Chicago. Then he went 86 yards against I'm not against Chicago, against San Francisco. Then Green Bay, he had 90 and a touchdown. Washington, 119 on 18 carries. Then against Minnesota, he had 135. I mean, he had good games.
I don't see it as being a fluke, but I'm gonna leave that alone. We'll just wait for Jordan to prove him wrong the rest of the season.
No,
and that's with bum Langford getting a lot of his carries too.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Now for Atlanta, you talking about Hooper? I don't think that he'll put up those numbers week by week.
Never again.
But it'll come up. Oh, it'll come up.
He'll have
Of the
2
simple
touchdowns,
fact
but
that
not
one of the things that Atlanta knows how to do, and it goes back to their head coach and going back to his days with Seattle and their fabled history with the Tony Gonzalez, they'll do more to get the tight ends involved because it just keeps everybody else more honest. What's a better way to take pressure off Julio Jones getting doubled if people aren't respecting Sanu? Get the tight end involved. Get the backs involved.
Yep.
It kind of opens up everything else. It's one of those things that now you have another level of the offense that people have to respect, because now the underneath, the dink and dunk, those yak opportunities like that touchdown that he got are going to present themselves. So people have to pay attention and respect it. Now, is he about to be a Pro Bowler and catch 80 balls? No.
No.
But for anybody that needs a tight end too, or a waiver wire fix here and there, he's a decent option.
And then let me another thing I want to look at with Atlanta. Just looking at that Bears game, we have to start paying attention and start looking at, is Shanahan the reason why they were that great? Because Atlanta Falcons did not look good yesterday. And I mean, from the running game to the passing games, it could have been, week one, just jitters. But
I think the system change is a factor, but I think another thing
I think they played down to their opponent.
I think another thing that we have to look at to a certain degree is that. But then, essentially, when it comes to the Falcons, is if they're not inside on that track meet floor, they have problems. When you have to play outside in elements, you have to play outside on grass fields and stuff like that. Atlanta can't take advantage of their team speed on offense the way that they normally do. They have a hard time adjusting to playing outdoor in conditions.
The longest run came from Matt Ryan, 13 yards. Devontae Freeman long run was 6. Coleman was 7. So they just couldn't get
Freeman.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Chicago's defense is improved, but it ain't improved like that. That's part of the problem with Atlanta, and it's going to be interesting because one of the things that I've said, and people have chose to hate, or you say whatever you want, but for my money, I always say that Atlanta's success is predicated on them getting home field advantage, because if they didn't have home field advantage last year in the playoffs, they probably wouldn't have went to the Super Bowl. Anytime that they don't have a full-on home field advantage, they're not going to do well.
Matt Ryan is just like Drew Brees. They love that dome.
They need that, man. They love that dome. They love that track. And I'm not mad at them. I mean, hey, why not maximize your team's talents? But you're going to have to learn how to win some of those ugly games. And that was a good start. I mean, for Atlanta fans, they should be real happy that they found a way to get down, get their hands dirty, and win an ugly game, because they're not looked at as a physical, ugly football type team.
True.
Well, we know who they play. Well, we know who they play next week, so
we'll get to that later.
Another ugly game was the Ravens versus Bengals. Oh my God, Andy Dalton. I just got goosebumps.
I don't know about it being ugly. It just depends on which side of the football you was looking at it from.
It was ugly. Let me tell you right now. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings watching that game, and I had to suffer to watch that game. I had 3 screens of that game on, and I was just like,
I'm sorry. As somebody that plays in a couple of standard leagues, and I have Baltimore's defense, that game was absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, you probably loved it on defense.
4 interceptions, a shutout.
The Baltimore
Baltimore
defense looked good. Tony Jefferson changing things over there now.
That's why I said it just depends on which side of the ball you're looking at. If for some, I mean, if you're a Cincinnati fan, that game was ugly as all get out.
He was hurt. He's back. Terrell Suggs looked like he done took a couple of those Benjamin Button pills. You know what I'm saying? So
he was killing.
Them boys was doing their thing. They was like, well, Ray ain't here, but it's not like
And this another team, 42 carries. So like we said, once you get to that number, you're doing something right.
Man, this entire week was dominated by like old fashioned football principles. If you ran the ball well, and if you held that time of possession, it was pretty much a wrap.
Also, this week showed me if your offensive line can give you some protection, you will have success in this league. When we've seen it with
it's a passing league, yeah.
So, and then another thing is Danny Woodhead lost. I know he's old, and I know that you said your joke about Danny Woodhead. No one's checking for Danny Woodhead, but him in that first quarter, Joe Flacco was in sync with Danny Woodhead.
But Danny always looked great. He's the best game 1 first half player I've ever seen in fantasy.
But this is the thing I'm talking about.
Danny Woodhead.
But Danny Woodhead, yeah, that's true too. They do love to get hurt. But this is the thing about it that I want everybody to take a look at. Losing Danny Woodhead is a big loss because Javoris Allen, as good as some people think he's going to be, he did not give you the production that Danny Woodhead would have given you. And losing him really messed up a dynamic because Baltimore really wasn't able to do nothing besides that big chunk play that Jeremy Maclin did up the middle of the field. But besides that, they really weren't getting anything going. And it's not saying that the Bengals have a good defense. They were playing out perfect, and West barely had a good game. So I don't know. Losing Woodhead is really gonna slow down that offense. We'll see how it goes.
The biggest problem with losing Woodhead is the fact that they don't have any viable candidates right now that have gotten comfortable with at tight end to take that second level passing targets, to keep him out of the flats, to get that underneath
Oh yeah,
stuff and
because
things like
Watson was
that.
hurt last year.
Yeah, they don't really have that chemistry yet with the tight ends. If the tight ends were a little bit more prominent, the loss of Woodhead wouldn't matter as much because you can accommodate for that in the passing game. But since it's not, it makes it look like a lot worse than what it actually should be at this point. And I think as far as like the rushing and stuff like that goes, I think Wes will be able to do a fine job. I'll be interested to see how much they try to get him involved in the passing game to kind of
He's gonna
offset
cook
that
the
as well.
Browns. He's gonna cook the Browns next week.
Maybe.
Was it anything y'all seen positive from the Bengals? Like I know it's tough.
That AJ
They didn't.
McCarron
Nobody really got hurt.
That AJ McCarron
Help.
To
Hey,
fight
yeah,
another
that's
day. I mean, shake off the week one. It's always terrible to not only have a bad game, but then on top of that to lose players. It kind of prevents your ability to bounce back the following week. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like the one thing that I would say if I'm a Cincinnati fan, it's usually positive is, you know, you came out of the game relatively unscathed as far as your health and stuff was concerned, and seeing as
and
that you got
Giovanni
shut
Bernard,
out.
he looked like he's okay. So I
He
mean,
looked good.
Yeah, I mean,
real
when
good.
I looked okay, I'll look for them to kind of integrate Mixon in and get him some more looks. I
I don't know what
actually
the hell
appreciate the fact that they're taking it slow with him. I mean, kid's a rook. He was never supposed to be the next
I mean, but
AB or the next Barry Sanders.
he led the team. He led the team in carries, had a long run of 8, but only ended with 9 yards. I don't know how the hell that happens. I mean,
He kept
Yeah,
getting
Baltimore's
negative
defense
plays.
is how that happened. What you mean?
Baltimore defense was killing it. On top of
Baltimore's
that,
defense is how that
and
happened.
like,
Andy Dalton wasn't helping out
But
nothing.
Andy Dalton is throwing 4 picks, and you really can't lean on the run game like that. I mean, you got to pick and choose your spots.
I mean, that's what happens when you let 2 of your starting offensive linemen go in free agency. So they got
Hey,
to keep those
chance
players
you take.
intact. Got to
That's
keep
the
those
chance
players
you
intact.
take.
Yeah,
Like
but
I said,
hopefully the offense can bounce back a little bit next week. But we'll see.
well, let's talk about it from the from a fantasy standpoint. AJ Green, if Andy Dalton keeps playing like that, AJ Green needs to get up out of there because
He still got his
AJ Green's numbers wasn't bad.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
still
what
got
he had,
his,
AJ Green's numbers
66?
wasn't bad.
He had
They
what?
just they team was just bad.
he had 5 for 74. So I mean, he had a decent game.
Yeah,
I mean, when your quarterback got 5 turnovers,
but I mean, yeah, when your quarterback is throwing 4 picks, you're not gonna have a good game. I mean, it's just the way to go.
That's throwing me off. Andy Dalton just week 1 playing that fucking bad just blows my mind.
But okay,
Well,
let's sit and think about how many times have you seen a 4-pick game out of Andy Dalton, though? That's more the exception than not
That's
the rule.
true.
yeah, because I believe he had 15 interceptions the last 2 years. So this is not like
Yeah, I
Andy
mean,
Dalton,
this isn't typical Andy Dalton per se.
We'll see.
I'll
If they
give him a
lose
pass
against
on
the
this one.
Texans, if they lose against the Texans, okay.
Boy, if the Texans lose against them, nigga, what?
Well, I mean, they can lose to the Texans theoretically, and Andy Dalton can still have a good game because it's not like the Texans secondary is that great.
At all. And if the front seven ain't great, the back
That's what I'm saying. If Andy Dalton
If the
still
front
get up
seven
on
played the way
Thursday,
they played against the Jaguars, the Cincinnati will put 45 on them.
oh Lord,
No, it's possible. It's definitely possible. But
Bruh, if that front seven plays the way that they did against Jacksonville, and I'm not gonna take the time to harp on them too much because I'm gonna get a little upset. I don't know why, because I'm technically not a fan, but I have to watch it because I live here. If they play
Just
that
gonna
way
get me
again
mad.
against Cincinnati on Thursday, they're gonna get 45 put on them. I'm telling you now.
I'm with you. If they play that poor, I'm with you. But also,
There's no excuse for that much talent, and that much money on that side of the ball that's always been addressed every year without fail to come up that short.
100%. Also in that
Period.
division, we had the Steelers barely get by the Browns. That game was a lot closer than
I
people
think that is
expected.
my upset special. They almost pulled it out.
they almost did. They almost
almost did.
Kaiser looked good, but that was the flukiest interception I ever seen in a while. Who the hell was he throwing to? Can y'all tell me?
I don't know.
targeted?
That's what happens. That's what happens. That's
Was
what I think
anybody
all
over
the
there?
time. I know.
Rookie moves, man. He had
That's
his Willie
Kaiser.
Beeman moment.
That's Kaiser.
Just,
That's Kaiser for you.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
Like it was,
he had
it
his
was,
Willie Beeman
it was
moment.
nobody over there. He could have took off. Like that was crazy. But he did look impressive. Corey Coleman looked like he's gonna be the guy that he's gonna be targeting. So I think that
Kenny Britt's show was like a no-show. I was surprised by that.
Ghost. I was like, ooh, I had to look and see if Kenny Britt
Like
was
he
still in
didn't
the
even get
game.
that many targets. I was like, dang,
Yeah.
he didn't even look his way.
I hyped him up too, and then it's no love that the coach coming out and shitting on you.
But once again, Marcus, it is week 1, and that's a big guy. So
Yeah,
I'm talking about
it
the
is. I mean,
coach.
things can change, but it was just
sooner or later, Britt
weird.
is gonna get that 70 yarder over the top, and all is gonna be well.
Yeah.
So
So from the other side of the ball, let's go ahead and say it. Antonio Brown is the man, and Le'Veon Bell, that rust factor is a serious thing.
I've seen enough of Antonio Brown. I had the opportunity to face this dude 5 times, and I hated every last one of those games. But he's the man. I mean this is why he's a top
Antonio
4
is Antonio. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not even
that's
a discussion at this point. Antonio is Antonio. Antonio is
Antonio was David
water
Johnson
being built.
before David Johnson got that role as the fantasy guy. It was
Well,
all.
I mean, even as a fantasy
Oh,
guy,
did you
even
say
when you
best in
go
the
to
league?
regardless of
All day
position,
he's best
people
in the
that you
league.
don't worry about, Antonio Brown is just somebody you plug and play. Like you don't even ask questions about it. It's not a
Yeah.
well, what will Antonio do this year? Can Antonio Brown still make? You don't ask them kind of questions. You just be like, okay, y'all picking top 5, so you getting Antonio or what?
Yeah, that's why
About
I
it.
took the flyer on him.
And when you let Joe Hayden go, this is what happens. I mean, when you don't have your best cover corner, I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I
you
mean
get
that's
hurt
gonna
like
happen
this.
regardless. Because I mean, it just is what it is. Cleveland is still a work in progress, very much. But there's a lot of young talent that people are excited to see that's out there on the field. They'll get it together. If I'm a Cleveland fan, if I'm a Cleveland organization, you hate taking a divisional loss like that to a hated rival, but at the same time, you have to applaud the fact that you fought till the very end and you were very much in that game. Uh,
I'm just waiting for
21
Griff to say
points.
something about the outlaw. I don't
I
know
was
why
about
he's
to say
so
the
quiet.
outlaw. Woo!
I can hear it. I,
The outlaw. Hey,
I can, I
this,
can, I can hear it. This
hey,
dude
he
double,
made some nice cuts. He
he
had
double,
some
he
nice
doubled his
cuts.
3 touchdowns in one game.
He had
He
some
did his
nice
thing.
catches, man. He had some nice catches, and
He
then
did
going
his
for.
thing.
I think he's going to challenge Vance McDonald for that tight end spot, and
Oh,
then
Vance McDonald's not challenging him right now, man. He don't know the playbook. That's
Nah,
why.
exactly.
I mean, he came with like last week, dude. I mean, he knows
No,
probably
that's
as
what I'm
many
saying.
plays as we
No,
know.
from reports in camp, no reports were that Vance McDonald was going to take over. He's going to get slowly worked into the offense, but based off the game
I
that
say
Jesse James
at
had,
least for the first 6 weeks, Jesse James is fine.
no, but I'm
Jesse
James
is
is fine.
going to be good. It's just a matter of how fast Vance can pick up the
Yeah,
playbook. And seeing
exactly.
as that he's a Rice graduate, I don't think it'll be long.
No.
But pound for pound, skill for skill, Vance is going to find his way onto the field because Vance is a better athlete than Jesse James.
hey, you
Bottom
watch, you
line.
watching the Outlaws going to come to the shootout.
I like the Outlaw.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
get me
he good.
wrong. I like Jesse James a lot, but I still call a spade a spade.
I like
Vance
Vance.
McDonald is a
He's good.
potentially
Yeah,
better
he's quick.
playmaker at tight end. He's more of an H back than tight end, and I think that's the thing that excites Pittsburgh about him coming over there.
Let's give some love to Big Ben too, for looking good on the road. Finally,
I ain't got no
Big
I
love
mean,
Ben
for
been.
Big Ben.
it took him 36
It's
pass
cool.
attempts, but
Whatever.
I mean, yeah,
I ain't got
Hey,
no love for Big Ben. Whatever.
He
they
was
should
trying to
have
hold that
the
man
ball
down.
a bit more.
Did y'all see that highlight when he was trying to hold that dude down for knocking him over?
Man, you
Yeah.
know Big Ben.
Big
You know,
Ben's childish.
Don't
He
nobody love
childish.
Big Ben.
you know how you get. He gonna hold the dude ankles. Like, come on, bro, what you doing?
Like you too old
Yeah,
for that.
don't
shit.
nobody
Get off
love
me.
Ben.
What you doing? They gotta give Le'Veon the ball.
Hey, no, Le'Veon got the ball. He looked rusty. He looked
He had
rusty.
10 carries. 10 carries.
Did you
Like,
see what them
10
10 carries?
trash carries.
10 trash.
10 carries was terrible.
10 trash carries. He looked
10
slow.
terrible carries.
He did. He looked like
He was
TJ
eating that
Yeldon.
Dairy Queen. That's what he was doing. Eating too much Dairy Queen.
He
Hey,
does
man,
not look
look,
like in
you
football
get a free
shape.
you get a free blizzard when you fill out that application. So I don't
Too
blame
many
you.
hunger busters, homie.
Yeah,
Not the
he
hunger.
was, he was like having them late night toasts with
The
Garrett
brown
Blunt.
bag special.
Yeah, them steak fingers, homie. Steak fingers go hard. Too much
Hey, them
gravy.
shits go too hard, man.
Gravy.
Matter of fact, do they have a Dairy Queens up in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I thought Dairy Queen was just a Texas thing.
No.
I know he ain't drive nowhere to go to that Dairy Queen, like go to Florida or something. Crazy food.
Oh man, but let's go ahead and say this: he's a buy low. If he has another bad week, buy low.
If somebody's selling them, call me.
Well, it's not going to get no easier for him next week, so
Exactly.
we'll see how it works out.
Buy low.
And let's move on to the Lions. The man Matt Stafford with another comeback, beating those Cardinals
My
35-20.
man Matthew.
Who's seen it? Who's seen this coming?
My
Did-
man Matthew. I raved
Did you-
about
did
him
you-
all off
did you pick the
season, and I
Lions?
told people.
But did you pick the
Yes.
Lions this week? You picked the Lions this
Yes.
week? Oh, my
Yes.
We need to start
My
doing
man
that
Matthew,
game
I keep
picks.
telling folks, Matthew Stafford is the top 10 fantasy quarterback. Like, you can set your watch
did.
to it. He's been a
He
top
did.
10 fantasy quarterback for almost a decade now. People get so caught up in the fact that, oh, well, he plays for the Lions. Well, okay. I'm going to need folks to sit back and pay attention to how many
Who?
fourth-quarter comebacks
Who's
this dude has the last 3 seasons.
Hey, let's clap our hands for the Golden Tate, man. You know, I got to give it to Golden Tate.
In
I
that
did
thing.
not think Golden Tate was not going to have a good game. 10 catches on 12 targets. The dude
Man,
is reliable.
ready to be a number one. Golden been ready
Yeah.
to be a number one.
He
And when you
has
got somebody
been-
like Galladay on the other side to kind of offset, he's going to continue to be a number one.
And then
Hey,
Marvin Jones, can't sleep on Marvin
Man.
hey,
Jones.
Marvin look good. Marvin look good. I know one person that didn't look good. Ebron.
I mean, he only had 2 targets, my man. I
He's
mean,
The
trash.
thing that you got to remember, man, at the end of the day, if they have any semblance of a running game, if they had any stud at running back, Matthew Stafford right now would be Matt Ryan.
And that's why I said Adrian Peterson should have went there because that would have been a great fit for him to go there, go to the New York, or go
that's
to. It was
that's
somebody else. I want him to go to Green Bay, but that
Hell,
wasn't
they could
happening.
have went and did that, or they could have drafted a Dalvin Cook and changed their own fortunes.
that's Adrian dumbass. Hey, shout out to Jared Davis though. That rookie, that boy got some burn.
Man,
That,
you see
that
that
dude,
young killer, and I hate him because he played for that ass school in Gainesville, but my man was out there doing his thing.
he was out there flying around.
He was
He
doing
looked
his
damn good
thing.
on defense. He looked damn good on defense, man. Larry Fitzgerald, hey, he still he still got his 13 targets, even though that bum Carson Palmer throwing
Man,
it to him.
Carson Palmer is a
I hate that.
bum.
I like
Man,
when I got to the like my thesis of what this weekend was, I kept saying uninspired football. And
very
he was one.
uninspired.
He was one of the main ones.
He was the leader. He was the leader. He was
Carson is
driving the
keeping the
truck.
seat warm for his buddy to come from USC and take his spot next year. He's just keeping it warm for Sam Darnold. That's it.
Man, Carson looked like he do not want
Because
to
they're
play.
about to go 3-13, and with that top 5 pick, Sam ain't gonna have to worry about going to the Jets because the Cardinals gonna go ahead and pick him up.
And
That's gonna be
I think the main reason why I hate him because that garbage time touchdown to Nelson that cost me a game this week because he had no business.
Don't be like that. Don't be
oh, and
like that.
It's a 2 yard line. Come on.
hey,
Man.
with the loss of David Johnson, let's give a little love to this for the loss of David Johnson. I want to see what Carson Palmer does with the offense, and I want to see. No, I know he may not do nothing, but from a what is it? Bruce Arians is not
From
going
a
to allow his
discipline
team.
standpoint,
No, I'm not. Bruce Arians is not going to allow his offense to do absolutely nothing. So, if anybody who's going to be a benefactor from this is going to be Larry Fitzgerald and John Brown, and I truly think John Brown, if you watch the game, was open
JJ
a
Nelson.
lot. I like JJ Nelson, but he's so small, so I can't always rely on him.
And that's
to
why
do good.
JJ's gonna benefit because that's gonna be the dude that nobody's checking for when they start throwing about 50 times a game.
But
He's
they
gonna
weren't
eat.
checking. They weren't even checking. They weren't even checking for John Brown. And he was open. Carson Palmer just wasn't throwing the ball to nobody.
because he
I ain't know what was, he was trash.
I mean, it's Carson Palmer at this point. I mean, it's Carson. Hate to say it.
Yeah. So hey, man, Larry Fitzgerald. You know, if y'all want to buy low on him. Buy low with John Brown. In my opinion, they're going to give you some good fancy numbers.
Good possession guy at this point.
I'm with you. And even in the PPR, I look at Andre Ellington. I think he's going to be able to come in and do a lot of damage on third down. So.
He'll be hurt. He'll be hurt by week 8 because that's what he does too. He
I mean,
gets
shit,
hurt.
the top running back hurt right now, so it don't even matter. I mean, shit, if you need a flyer right now, Andre Ellington is going to get some burn, especially over the next couple of weeks.
He ain't got no choice. Who's the other running backs?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He ain't got no choice.
He ain't got no. He gets it
What's
by
his
like
name?
default.
What's the name? Is
David-
de facto one.
Curran Wood, but he's not in on third down. He got no. He got the hands of Jordan Howard.
Even though he's not that good,
That's throwing
He got those
hands.
Jordan Howard hands.
That's throwing hands. No, that's not gonna work.
he don't got the best
Yeah.
hands at all.
At all, I know. Yeah, Jordan Howard. I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Look at you. Oh my God, his
Oh, you
hate,
know I'm
his
throwing
hate is
the hate.
unchained.
You know I'm gonna throw in the hate. But I gotta talk about the team that we love, the Raiders.
Oh,
The Raiders
Raiders.
beat the shit out those damn Titans.
Oh,
I
Go,
loved it.
Marshawn,
I
go!
loved it. My man Amari Cooper out there with 13 targets with
What
6
did I tell
red
you
zone
in the red
targets?
zone?
6 red zone.
In the red zone.
6 red zone targets. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But how did y'all think Marshawn Lynch looked? Like, be honest.
Look,
What y'all
good.
think? 18 carries for 67. How did he look?
He looked like Marshawn Lynch.
Damn
He
good.
never really comes out. He never really comes out to start the season with his ass on fire. It kind of builds up as it goes. He's starting to get comfortable and he's starting to kind of see what his positioning is and what his spot is in the offense, because even though they are greatly appreciative to have him and love him being there, at the end of the day, he still realizes that this is Derek Carr's show and this is very much a passing team. So it'll be interesting to see how his situation goes. I think that he's going to absolutely have a field day murdering people in the screen game. I feel bad for the linebackers in them one-on-one spots because he's going to have some more highlight plays like he had trucking that damn defensive lineman from Tennessee.
Sure did.
That's going to keep coming.
Guess what? The workhorse back, like I said, it ain't gonna be no Sharon carries in the backfield. He is the lone wolf, and Jack Del Rio has came out and said it. So those of you who took a flyer on Marshawn Lynch, I want to give you a round of applause because I didn't think that was going to happen. None of us did. Neither one of us did. We thought it was going to be like a 3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one thing about this offense that I know I didn't call, but I'm almost 100% sure Wilson called was Jared Cook's involvement in the offense. And 5 targets, 5 catches, 56 yards. I think he looked impressive. I think that was like that one missing piece. Like, I know Clive Walford is good, but I just don't think David Carr trusted him enough. And in the system, it looked like he fit right in with everything they want to do with the Raiders.
It's game one. So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because the Titans defense was planning to shut down Crabtree, but that wasn't happening. And then they were trying to shut down Cooper, and that started to happen in the second half. So he started going to that tight end, but I just want to see because I'm just not a fan of his by any means of the imagination.
I mean, it's not about being a fan from a fan, but it's just the fact that Wilson came in and said he's going to help David Carr improve on the offense. So that's why I'm just giving my man his props that he did call that Cook is going to be able to come in and move the chains a little bit for him. That's exactly what he did. I mean, he was very effective. But on the Tennessee side, is there any concern about DeMarco Murray, or was it just a bad game?
I think it's just a bad game, basically. I mean, I ain't got no problem with him. I hope he goes down so Derrick Henry can take over, honestly.
What about you?
Personally, I just think Derrick Henry is just, you see the talent, man. You see the talent, and you see that he wants that opportunity.
What about you, Wilson?
I think he dropped out. Oh, well, we'll keep on going. The other person from the side, Richard Matthews, what did I say? The fact of number one, they loved him. He loved him, and he was in sync with him. If you notice that.
Man, actually, I think Corey Davis had more targets, and I feel like he's a little bit more explosive. I'm liking everything I'm seeing out of Corey Davis as a rookie who missed a lot of time, especially in training camp. I think he came in, and I think he kind of set the staple as being the number 1 receiver in Tennessee. That's just my opinion. Yeah, because he was a lot more explosive, and I like I said, he
highlights of the game, but I'm talking about him watching that.
This guy was he was more explosive than any of those other receivers, Corey Davis. And like I said, the guy got all the targets, and he hasn't had the reps. So the fact that Marcus Mariota is comfortable with a rookie receiver this early in the stage, I think that's high signs, and that's why I'm so high on Corey Davis. I think that's the guy that people should go be getting.
I'm like, Matthews dropped a few big plays. That's what I want to say. I mean, neither one. I mean, no one's going to be wrong because he got like 7 targets or something like that. So everybody's going to get their targets. But the person that I personally want to see is the person that Mariota has a rapport with. And just looking at Matthews and how he played in the first half, and yes, he was game. It seemed like the Raiders kind of scripted him out of the game as the game went on. Me personally, I like Matthews. You can't go wrong with either one. I would take a flyer on Decker just to see what he does going forward. But me personally, you can't go wrong with either one.
Definitely, man. But we'll get right back into this. We're going to take a quick break from you guys. We'll be right back.